I can keep it together as well as Ed did. I am Georgia, the youngest of the 3 Hall sisters. I have always called my sisters Pat and Sue, although I have come to understand that in their adult and professional lives, you all knew them as Susan and Patricia. But I didn't get that memo, so just forgive me if I will be using their familiar names. Sue was our middle sister. Our oldest sister, Pat, had the tough job of breaking in our parents, for which we were both so grateful. But when Pat was just over 2, Sue was born. And if Pat was a bit miffed about this intrusion into her center of attention world, she got over it quickly because she found a constant companion, playmate, and ally in Sue. The 2 of them were so much more than sisters. They were the best of friends. Then 4 years after Sue's birth, I arrived. And this time it was Sue who was annoyed. But in time, I guess quite a bit of time according to my mother, both sisters became my friends and protectors. In the last 20 years, the 3 of us often reminisced about those long ago days, and it always amazed me how much our memories differed. Part of that, of course, was the perspective of our different ages. Part of it was also that Sue had what I've come to think of as a writer's memory. For myself, our childhood seemed a bit elusive, but even as a child, Sue was taking note of what things looked like, what they smelled like, and especially how she felt about them. All those memories and feelings were recycled into stories. Ironically, COVID had a positive impact on our sisterly bond. We were separated by miles, Seattle, Northern California, and Los Angeles, and we were prevented from seeing each other by these pandemic restrictions. But love it or hate it, Zoom gave us a new opportunity, because instead of gathering once or twice a year for those sister reunions that Ed mentioned, we now saw each other every week for 45 minutes of visiting. Sue came to these Zoom encounters with jokes, variations on "a man walked into a bar," to lighten what seemed like a life sentence to our homes. So, for example, the past, the present, and the future walked into a bar. It was tense. So we talked about our COVID coping strategies and what we were doing to pass the time and any family updates. But then I realized I had hundreds of family photos, slides and negatives and pictures that I'd been digitizing and saving in chronological sequence. Yeah, I'm a librarian too. I decided to share 20 or 30 photos at each Zoom call, and we began to relive our childhood. A few things became very clear. Our mother loved to buy us fancy Easter dresses. Yeah, unfortunately, they rarely came all the same in size 2 and 6 and 8. So guess who didn't have the matching dress? Yeah, it was hard. And my mother also loved to celebrate Christmas in a big way. Lots of pictures of Christmas. And our parents took the 3 of us on family vacations in our station wagon and trailer. Our father loved to capture the 3 of us and our mother with one of his many cameras. The contrast between our frilly, full-skirted Easter dresses and our mismatched camping clothes was hilarious. We saw that Pat and Sue went on a road trip with our parents to Ohio to meet our grandfather and his new wife. We saw ourselves at the Grand Canyon and many regional campgrounds, and in Mississippi meeting our maternal grandparents and cousins. We took a lot of trips, and the pictures tell, without our friends from home, the 3 of us played together, and my sisters watched over me. So as you may have just read in your program, Sue was responsible for watching me while I took a bath. I was 4 when this started, and she was 8. as she sat on the toilet lid next to the bathtub, and she looked across the bathroom to the built-in hamper. And she told me that the hamper was not just filled with dirty clothes, but with stories. But her storytelling, and although she was supposed to be making sure that I was getting clean, what was much more important to both of us was the telling of and the hearing of the story. And that storytelling wasn't limited to the bathtub. Our father's mother lived in Yucaipa, and once a month we would take the hour-long drive from Hollywood to visit her. Sue would start a story as our father backed down the driveway, and she would entertain me for the entire trip. Magically, the story would draw to a perfect close as we pulled into Grandma's carport. But stories were only a portion of what she gave me. Especially after Pat got married, Sue became my life skills guide. Today, people have Google, but I had my sister Sue. There were questions that I couldn't ask our mother, and questions our mother would not answer, even if I had asked them. Questions about being a girl, or about boys. Things that our mother believed would just go away if I didn't know about them. But Sue was there to explain it all to me. And additionally, I want to let you in on a little secret. I don't know how many of you know this. Sue was also a tap dancer. When I was about 9 and she was 13, we were students of Miss Rack, who would come to our house. A tiny, spry woman who showed up in black leggings, a sparkly top, and a platinum blonde hair to turn us into dancers. We were pros at the ball heel, the shuffle, and the ball change. But our special move was when Sue would bend over, reach between her legs, and pull me out from under. That was fun. Never got any pictures of that. Daddy was at work then. Sue let me visit her at college, where we hitchhiked to parties, definitely not allowed by our mother. And with Sue, I could feel a little bit like what it might be like to be grown up. For the rest of my life, she recommended great books for me to read. And when I could recommend one to her that she really loved, I felt like I had accomplished something. The last book that Sue gave me was an early novel of Maggie O'Farrell, This Must Be the Place. And I'm saving it for a time when I really need to feel Sue by my side. Before Sue went into the hospital the last time, she filled out forms to indicate her final wishes about services in her memory. And she only had one request. And I'm quoting her here. Just ask people to read or reread The Higher Power of Lucky and its sequels, because that is the best of me. So you heard it from Susan. Go forth and read.